who I say I want to be, who I say I'm going to be, I am already that.
All right, welcome to another Holistic Talk. I'm Martin from Basketball Society and Holistic Hooper, and I'm extremely excited to share with you this conversation with one of the best players in the country. Make sure you go down and click subscribe, join the Basketball Society, and you can tap into the zone and watch all of our other interviews in this series. Tyson Etienne just had a monster sophomore season at Wichita State. He was the AAC Co-Player of the Year. Get ready and tap into the zone with my man Tyson Etienne. Enjoy. I saw you play in person one time in high school.
Oh, really?
At the, I'm pretty sure it was the Empire Invitational. Of course, I'm keeping up with your game and stuff, but then I'm looking at this article on you at the top of this year, and it was talking about how you meditate religiously. Describe for me like one time or one game this season where you felt like you were in the zone.
Probably say there were a few games. The most memorable one probably was Ole Miss at Ole Miss. Just because we were going into, SEC territory, and I knew how big the win would be for our season. Didn't start off great, missed a couple shots, but I never wavered. Like, that was one time where I was like, I stayed present the entire time, and I just caught fire, and it just felt like anything I put up was going to go in, and I was going to make the right reads. But from a flow sense, that was the one game where I was like, I was completely locked in the moment.
So, Ty, how long have you been meditating?
It's funny that you talked about, the Empire Invite and talked about that time because, that's when, a lot of it started for me, because I'm from New Jersey. I'm really from New York, but I live in New Jersey. I decided to go to Long Island Lutheran for my junior year of high school. Luha was an amazing school, but I was just uprooted from like what I knew. I used to go to school 10 minutes away from my house. Now I'm going to school across 2 bridges with people I don't even know really, so it was like it was a really tough time, just a bunch of different things going on in my life. It was tough. So I was really trying to like find something that I could, anchor myself to. My faith is big in who I am, but I just needed to develop routines that kept me in rhythm, that kept me secure and safe. And, I just learned and started researching on like habits of billionaires, and what they did. And, I just tried to find themes, and meditation was a common thread. So I just started to, pick it up myself. And I started doing it in the morning, and at night I was doing, some people call it box breathing. There was another term that I learned when I was doing it. It was like holding in 4 seconds, then holding it for 2 seconds, then pushing out. I remember that helped me a lot. And I was just trying to find ways to just mentally keep myself, at peace and neutral. And so that year, so it's, it's divine that you talk about it like that. That year is when, all this started to begin for me.
And when you first started out, what was that like? Were you just like teaching yourself?
Obviously, you start off with like the apps, the Headspace. I don't think Calm was around or as big then, but I was definitely using Headspace. But then I just found like, I remember I was using this this training forum. It was called Elite Guard Training, and they had like this one program that was like all on the mental side of the game. So he had introduced like the box breathing I referred to earlier. So it was more of like a self-taught thing because I was just doing it by time. I wasn't listening to a voice. I was just listening, 5 minutes, then build to 10 minutes, then build to 15 minutes. So I'd say, and that's kind of how my meditation is still, sometimes I do guide it. It just depends on what's happening in my life at the moment.
What was your experience like when you started? Were you able to tap in right away? Was it weird? I mean, what was the process like?
I think it's a common thing for, people to be like, well, this doesn't work. Like what is happening? Like meditation is supposed to relax. You're supposed to calm you. But yeah, I get even more thoughts when I'm meditating,
thinking about more stuff.
Yeah. And, at first I was like that, and then, I was fortunate enough to, one of my mentors is actually like a mindfulness coach. And I was just explaining to him like what my experiences was, with my meditation. He was like, it's supposed to be like that. You're not going to stop the thoughts from happening. You're not going to tell your brain, stop thinking. It's not going to happen like that. We're only cognizant of only a small percentage of the actual thoughts we have going on, like all the functions going on. It's all about being aware and knowing which ones am I going to stick with, which ones am I going to swipe away. So once he was able to clarify that for me, my meditation became easier, and I was able to go into it without resistance, because it's hard to focus on anything if you're iffy, like, is this gonna work? Like, I don't know. So once you did that for me, it definitely deepened my practice.
How long before you felt like you started to see it have an effect on your game?
I'd probably say I started that around like October, so before our season really started. I think it really started to click for me like around January, when our games really started to pick up. Started playing a lot of high level showcases, and I knew like it was so many different things that were new to me at that time in my life. Like I said, going to that new school, not knowing anybody really there, um, also being put in a new position, having to be the point guard, because I've grown up being a scorer. I've been off guard. I've been a shooter, but this team, relied on me to be the point guard, to be the leader of an elite team. My team then was, we had so many talented players on that team, so I was in a new role, and that brings a lot of like I don't want to say pressure, but it's like things that you have to make sure that you're doing. And I remember like in November that year, like the preseason, I struggled a lot. Like, I was second guessing myself. I knew I had all the capabilities, but you have those times where like, well, like, can I do this? Can I do this? But like my meditation and that mindfulness, that concentration, that practice, staying present helped me. And once January came and we started to play the big games, I really started to see it manifest in the physical form, because I was able to stay present. I was able to consistently perform and lead my team to where we were able to do great things that year.
What's up, Hoopers? Eric here from the Holistic Hooper.
This is Martin from Holistic Hooper.
And we're super excited for our exclusive workout bundle.
3 workouts from the Holistic Hooper, plus a guided meditation.
As a former Hooper, I've always struggled with keeping a routine, or I just didn't know where to start. So this bundle brings all that together.
So give us your feedback. Let us know how you like the workouts. Let us know how they make you feel. Stay tapped in with the Holistic Hooper and enjoy. Kind of a 2-part question. 1, do you feel like the zone is an actual place? And 2, could you elaborate some more on what it feels like to be in the zone for you?
That's a good question. I believe the zone is more of a feeling. For me, it's more of a feeling than a place. Everybody thinks of things in like mundane or like tangible things. Like, all right, I'm here, I'm there, there's past, there's future, there's present, but if you really like study and really understand like the laws of like the universe and understand things like time is a construct that we created as, a society, as humans. Like we create the future, the past, but if you really understand that time is ongoing, who I say I want to be, who I say I'm going to be, I am already that. It just hasn't manifested in physical yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. So when they talk, they might be like, oh, I think I can be, or I used to be, but like, or I want to be, but like, no, you are that. So to go back to your question, I know I took a little turn there, but to go back to your question, I feel like it's a feeling. I don't think it's a place. It's like when your favorite song comes on, you're not thinking about, what the next word is. Like, what the next word is. You're in that moment, every verse, every word, what it is. So it's like, it's the same thing when you're on the court or in life, anything. Like when you're in that moment, it's a knowing. Like, I know I can make this shot. I've done this. This feels comfortable for me. Doesn't matter what the defense throws at me. Doesn't matter what my coach says, what my defender's trying to do. Like, I know what I'm doing. I felt this before. So I think it's just a feeling. And it's just like, for me, it's just like, you're not cognizant, okay, I'm in the present right now. Like, no, this is just me. I am that moment. I am, Didn't mean to take a deep turn there to begin that question.
No. You have to, bro. Look, you talking to the Jedi right here, boy. I take deep turns every day. I'm look, do what you need to do, because I'm right there with you. We tapped in right now. How are the ways you feel like help you to tap into that zone?
I rely heavily on my rituals, before game, pre-game, starting lineups, whether it's right when we get on the court, huddling my team. Like there's a ritual, there's a rhythm. It's not just, throw it out and I just do stuff randomly. That brings me into like a comfort space, and there's just stuff that I say to myself before I play. I communicate to the Most High, but I think like the biggest phrase that allows me to truly delve into that moment, into the game, is I say to myself, surrender the outcome. Everybody has goals. It's great to have goals, and I have goals for each game. I want to do certain things, I want to win, obviously, but you have to surrender the outcome, and that's big because it takes away the pressure of the moment. It takes away, like, I want to have 30 points. I got to have 30 points. I got to do this. But oftentimes, if you realize in your life that you put that angst energy behind it, stuff goes awry. But if you just surrender to the moment, knowing that you've done everything that you needed to do to prepare yourself for this game, for this matchup, when you surrender to the moment and you surrender the outcome, that allows it to manifest. It comes through unblocked with any negative energy coming towards it. And obviously, I do that every game. And obviously, every game wasn't amazing, but that's something that's common, and something you have to stick to. But that's like the thing that ignites me. Surrender the outcome. Boy, it's easier said than done, though. I promise you.
Because it's like, how can we not consider the outcome? Yeah. How can we,
exactly.
How can we not? The meditation and finding that stillness is where you kind of find things and you see things, right? You allow things to happen. And then and in that process, you really discover like your true self. I put that on a post on our page recently. Like, a lot of hoopers aren't playing their real game because they're not being their real selves.
People talk about self-care, right? Self-care is like this big thing that's going on, right? And it's beautiful, you make sure your nails are done, make sure you get a haircut, make sure you get a massage, you eating the right stuff, drinking a lot of water, eating fruits. Cool, that's beautiful, right? But self-care to me is intrinsic. Self-love to me is intrinsic. It's knowing thyself. Like, if you watch The Matrix, when they're when he visits the oracle and there's a sign on the wall, I don't know what it says in the language, but it's talking about know thyself. Like, you must know yourself before you can know anybody else. You must love yourself before you can love anybody else. You must know your game before you can try and even emulate somebody else's game. Like, you have to know you first, as within, so without. Like, you have to know these things about you before you can impact the external.
Do you feel like the game slows down for you?
Definitely. It's funny, like, I was talking to my trainer like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I was watching myself from my freshman season, and it was just like everything was 100 miles per hour. Like, once I get the ball, I'm trying to sprint as fast as I can to get to the rim. Like, there was no pace, there was no slowing down, there was nothing. I was pressing for everything, and obviously we went through COVID, and that's when a lot of my intrinsic work started happening, like knowing who I was, what my history is, why do I do certain things. And I think it carried over to my game, because even if you watch my season this year, like, the way I played the game of basketball was much different. It was much poised. It was in alignment with who I want to be and who I what I'm building my life to be like. I don't want to be somebody that's rushing. I don't want to be somebody that's playing off pure emotion. Like, no, I want to live a stoic life. I want to live a patient life. I want to play with poise. I want to live with poise. And I think that began to sprout this year. Obviously, it's not to the bamboo tree that I planned it to be, but it definitely started to show. So I think it definitely slowed down from year 1 to year 2.
I mean, basketball is so chaotic, bro. Like, there's whistles and coaches, and there's a lot of noise, external and internal. When we're in the zone and when the game slows down, we talk about how, everything just seems so like peaceful and flowing and all that. But that doesn't mean that, you're still going to get bumped. You still got to take hits. You still, there's still going to be things you got to deal with. So to talk about that side of it.
People ask me this question, like, obviously with the COVID and not having as like many fans in the arenas this year, people are like, oh, like, how do you feel? Like, is it different? And like, to be completely candid, like, I didn't even notice. Like, if there was 15,000 in the stands last year and there was 500 this year, I never really noticed, because I never paid attention to the crowd. Like, I literally can't hear the crowd. Even if it's loud, I can't hear, the external. But I think, for most people, it's just about, like, in those moments when it seems like it's chaotic, you have to find something that brings you back to you. I remember I was reading something And it was like things that can help you come back to the moment. It's just like feeling your jersey,
Right.
counting seconds,
Right.
counting something that, and on a larger scale, it's just about like, it's easier said than done, but it's just like, coaches are going to say what they're going to say. The fans are going to say what they're going to say. Refs are going to get bad calls. You can't control any of that. There's no magic wand for you to like put a zipper on the coach's mouth. You can't take away the ref's whistle. Like, it's easier said than done, obviously. And I've reacted, even in, trying to practice, control what you can control. But like, you really have to like put an onus, like, all right, that's out of my control. Move on, because you can't change that past moment.
Obviously, we are both learning even more about the power of the breath. Anything that you can think of during the game where your breath in particular kind of brought you back?
There's two things. The first thing is something that I kind of like learned myself. It has to do with when I go to the free throw line, like I take 2 deep breaths and I count my breaths to stay, like to not worry about shooting the shot, but to like think like, okay, 1, 2, then I do my rhythm and I take 1 more and I shoot it. But, nobody knows this and you wouldn't know it unless I said it. So like when I shoot all my jump shots, this is a credit to my trainer, John Hawthorne, but when I shoot all my jump shots, I exhale on every release. Like I breathe and I exhale on every release. And at first, like my trainer, he's very in tune with all this as well. When I first started to shoot, when I first started working with him, I had all this. Like if you look at me, I'm a powerful person. Like I have a lot of strength, I have a lot of power, and I tend to like carry it, like tense up, but I don't shoot like my jump shot is smooth. But like I was still carrying that tension, and every time he'd like exhale and release, exhale and release, and when I wouldn't exhale and release, I'm a good shooter, so it would go in.
Yeah.
But like if I started to missing, he'd be like exhale, and I started to exhale. So like the games where I'm making 6 threes, 7 threes, 5 threes, like if you look closely, like I'm exhaling on every single release. Like I'm exhaling. Like literally when I work out, I make sure I exhale. Like I emphasize it. He makes me emphasize like exhale it. So I'm training my brain to every single time I'm exhaling. And I feel like it makes a world of a difference.
How do you think your practice and your meditating and stuff has impacted your teammates? Do you look to encourage your teammates to practice as well?
Absolutely. I want to win, so I try to give them anything.
That's right. Y'all better get on this breath work.
To help them win. That'd be like extra work or like recovery techniques or yeah. I mean, couple of our freshmen that we had on our team this year had asked me about like, my meditative space and just like what I do. And then obviously they ran into the same type of issues I had when I first started. Like, is this working? I can't do it, and it's just about learning to quiet that chatter. But just in like as our season ended and everybody says, their closing remarks, just the impression that I had on my team or how I carried myself and doing the extra things like as a professional, they said that they really, were grateful to experience me and learn from me. And that's humbling because, I'm just doing things to get myself, better, put myself in position, to achieve the intentions that I have. But, I think like, I don't really, my intentions in this game will bring me a lot of financial success, but, that's not my purpose. My purpose is to inspire people. So even if I can inspire my own teammates, in whatever way that is, like, I feel like I've accomplished a milestone on my path. So I definitely have had an impact on them. And there's been things that they've had an impact on me as well. So definitely.
What do you feel when you play basketball? How does basketball make you feel?
That's a good question. I kind of got asked that in a different way a couple of days ago. It's solace, it's peace. There's so many different things that, go on from a day-to-day life, off the court, on the court. I think for me, basketball brings me, it brings me joy. But I think at the epicenter of it all, it brings me purpose. I feel like my purpose like I alluded to earlier, is to inspire, to motivate people, all ages, all genders, all different walks of life. And I believe that my platform will come from the game of basketball. So basketball for me brings me purpose, but it's not all that I am. It's what I do. It's not all that I am, but I believe that if I had to give you one term or one phrase, that basketball gives me purpose.
I really appreciate you, man, for real. I really appreciate you taking the time, man.
I appreciate what you're doing, man. Definitely keep it going. Nah, this is good, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.